can't see in this thing. Can't see. It's a little, there you go. Hello, both of you. Where's everybody else? Hello. Whatever you're drinking this evening, I salute you. Hello, Deke. So the helmet part comes off like this. It is it's held on by 4 magnets. You can see them inside. This is Star Wars The Black Series Vader Helmet. This is my mask for going outdoors these days. The only problem is I don't have any peripheral vision, so it's going to be tricky driving in this mask. Yeah, no, I'm kidding about that. I'm not driving in the mask. But that's how the helmet portion attaches, with 4 magnets. And then this mask portion has 4 snaps at the back. And it just opens up and comes off. Like so. You can see how detailed even the mask portion is, the portion that you're never going to see. And if you think that's cool, the back and insides are also completely painted and detailed. Vader has these 2 little, I've always assumed they're, where are they? Here. I've always assumed they're microphones. These are 2 little, you can see them moving, you can see that. Like, this is all, look at that. For the inside of the mask. That's cool detail. The only thing I'm worried about is it's got such a nice shiny finish. I just want to make sure it doesn't get scuffed or scratched. Well, good evening, folks. How are you this evening? I am drinking my, this is called Venizio, Nespresso Venizio, and it's quite good. It is quite good. So tonight on this live stream, we're going to be talking about favorite albums. I have a couple big stacks put aside here to talk about. And we just wanted to get back to a free-form chat like the first couple live streams. All good talk, no nudity this time. So the Vader mask is a good point to begin conversation. One has to treat oneself to some presents every once in a while to maintain sanity in this day and age. And I'm going to wear it out tomorrow. Today wasn't a very nice day for walks. Maybe tomorrow will be better for walks. And I'll wear it out. I'm definitely wearing it out. I'm going to do some kind of video with the mask on. I did not wear it out driving today because you cannot see. I can wear my glasses inside the mask, which is kind of cool. And it doesn't change the voice, but it does have that breathing function where you push the button and it does the Vader breath, which is pretty cool. So that's one thing I treated myself to. I'm curious what you guys may have treated yourself to in terms of presents, gifts to yourself. You can leave comments down below, which is why I'm pointing down below. There's nothing wrong with buying a present for yourself in this current dilemma that we're all in. Sorry, Mom. I know you raised me better than that. Hey, Frank Toms. Glad you're here. Michael Morwood, I believe, is in the house. Thank God. Good to see you, buddy. So yeah, I'm just curious what you guys have been doing for yourselves in terms of treating yourself nicely during a very stressful time. I know Deke has been buying some vinyl. I suspect Frank Toms has been helping out Fred Flintstone over at the cave there. Deke says, Ted Templeman book. That's right. The Ted Templeman book came out by Greg Renoff. Deke also got the Sloan EP, and he got the Rudy Sarzo book. Michael Morwood, we were discussing this one earlier. Michael Morwood bought the Lego Ultimate Collector Series A-Wing spaceship, which is... I used to love the Ultimate Collector Series models, and it's been fun talking to Michael about the Lego that I used to collect that he now collects. The Ultimate Collector Series was more geared towards adults. When I first started collecting them, they didn't even include minifigures, but I think they do now, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got that model kit coming very soon. He will be building his Ultimate Collector Series Lego A-Wing. My mother says she got a case of wine. That's pretty awesome. I did treat myself to one other thing, which was a new pair of Crocs. Bright red. They're going to look like clown shoes. The bright red Crocs are mainly to piss off my mother and my wife. It's pretty stupid of me, eh? I have a mismatched pair of Crocs. I have a left from one pair and a right from another pair, and I don't know where their assorted partners are. So I bought a brand new pair of red clown shoe Crocs. Oh, that's going to be styling up at the cottage. Frank Toms. Oh yeah, lots of work at the quarry. I'm getting a book by Jim Butcher when it comes out, and picking up the new Doom game. The joke here is that we joke that Frank Toms looks like Fred Flintstone, which is not true. That is not true. Frank Toms does not look anything like Fred Flintstone. Frank Toms does not work in a quarry. Shit, maybe, you know, I don't know. He claims he works for Canada Post, but fuck, I don't know. I actually don't know for a fact that he doesn't work at a quarry. He may, in fact, work with a quarry, and his boss's name may, in fact, be Mr. Slate. We just don't know. Michael Morwood says the new Doom game kicks ass. He got it on PC, and it looks fantastic. My gaming days are well behind me now, but I used to look forward to picking up stuff like X-Wing and TIE Fighter and Dark Forces, Jedi Academy, those kind of games. Those were a lot of fun. Hey, Aaron McCafferty, how are you doing? I know you like bitching and complaining about all the people congregating outside. I had a fun time watching them at Shoppers Drug Mart today. Frank Toms, PC gaming is the way to go. Well, at least with this Doom. I just got my son a Steam account, and that's cool. Michael Lefevre, does he have a friend named Barney? That's a good question. He very well might have a friend named Barney. We just don't know. Another thing about Frank Toms is we like to say he's like a man of mystery. We don't actually know anything about him. We don't know anything about Frank Toms. He looks kind of like Fred Flintstone, and he does have an East Coast kind of Canadian accent. I don't know. I'm going to say Newfoundland. I'm guessing. Frank Toms. Confirm or deny. Mike Kutis, Max the Axe. You are the Dark Force. We were playing some Overload earlier, Max the Axe. I hope you heard that. Eleanor Murphy. Frontline salute. Chris Thuss. How you doing, buddy? Max the Axe. I was playing Overlord earlier. Let me know if you heard me playing it. It was when I was wearing my Vader helmet earlier, which I will be doing more of in upcoming videos. It's too good to not walk around outside in public wearing. Nespresso. So good. So what else have you guys been doing to keep yourselves busy during this? We're, what, 2 months into this crisis now? I'd say it's safe to say 2 months. And I hope we're seeing signs of the light at the end of the tunnel. Frank Toms. No, I buy pre-built. Currently, I don't fucking. Now I'm talking computers. And Maxi Axe points out, yes, I do have an axe on my shirt. And Frank Toms confirms that he is, in fact, of Newfoundland descent. He's got a kick-ass accent, I'm telling you. I fucking love Frank Toms. It may be true that we don't know anything about him. And it may also be true that he works in a quarry under a guy named Mr. Slate. We just don't know. He could ride a fucking dinosaur. We don't know. But I like Frank Toms. He's a good guy. Mike Kudis, which song off Overload? We played, I think, the first 3 tracks off Overload before I cut the music to come in and talk to you. Jennifer's waving hello.
Hello, are you having fun?
We are having a great time. We got Maxi Axe here. We got Frank Toms. We got Chris Fuss.
Hey.
And I think my mom is watching. So, yep, lots of people watching tonight.
Lots of friends.
And they're hopefully drinking something, whatever they enjoy. I'm drinking Nespresso Venizio. My mother mentioned that she ordered a box of wine, so perhaps she is indulging in that. If I know Frank Toms, he's probably drinking a beer, and if I know Maxi Axe, he's probably on his 3rd. So, it's all good. We don't have an Eric Litwiller here tonight.
No meat?
No, I was hoping that Meat would do a phone-in. He may. We don't know. I want to talk about a couple of things. You guys keep telling me in comments stuff that you're doing to keep busy. Michael Morwood, been listening to a fuck ton of T-Rex. That's kind of cool. That's a band I haven't really fully explored. But bang a gong, Michael Morwood. I'm curious about T-Rex. I'd like to hear more about that. So I've been talking about this with a couple of different people, but I have not been inside a store in probably 7 or 8 weeks now. And while that's probably good in terms of dealing with this crisis in a responsible way, I asked a few people if they thought that was good behavior on my part, like if it's avoiding something that I am uncomfortable with. And weren't you at Shoppers today? Yes, Deke, I was at Shoppers today, but I stayed in the car outside, looking through the window at the fucking idiot on it, just walking around the store talking on his cell phone. Just fuck off, man. Don't walk around a Shoppers Drug Mart talking on his cell phone. Just fucking stay home. Anyway, so basically what I've been told is I should try to acclimate myself to going out to stores, getting over this fear that I have of just kind of being out in public, going into stores, you know. I'm sure everybody understands what I mean there, but although I do consider it a good record that I've gone like 8 weeks without having been inside a store, I think I've been given the advice that it's probably not a good behavior, and I should try. Are you allowed to curse and swear on this? Yes, Mike Kudis. My mom is watching, and she might not like it, but I can still do it because I'm an adult. And Michael Morowitz says to check out The Slider and Electric Warrior by T-Rex. So I'm going to try to go out to a store. Maxi Axe says Slider is the best record. I'm going to try to get out to a store and walk around and buy something at a store. Isn't that a fucking low bar to have to hit? But yeah, the truth is that it's a little freaky seeing people lined up in front of stores and maintaining that 6 feet. And you know, I kind of get nervous about bumping into people. I'm a clumsy person, okay? So like I trip over my feet all the time, and I'm kind of nervous about, hey John T. Snow, how you doing, John? So I'm kind of nervous about stuff like just fucking bumping into somebody by accident. You know, I do stuff like that, and I got to get over that, and I got to go out to a store. And so I don't know, maybe I'll figure some reason to go out to a store and buy something. I can't think of anything that I really need to go out and buy right now, but Maybe I'll buy a case of Coke at the shortstop or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so this came up, and delving into that subject, and I don't want to give away too much here. Delving into this subject, the fear of crowds in general, and the fear of going out and stuff like that, led to some exploration of the past and things that may have started my fear and anxiety of crowds in me in the first place. Hey, doing okay, John. You missed the Darth Vader helmet at the beginning. You might want to check that out at some point. The Darth Vader helmet at the beginning. It was kind of fun. Maybe I'll show it off a little bit later. Anyway, so going back decades to various events in my life, I have tried to write about them. And there's a whole series of stuff that's going to be coming that I haven't released yet that is going to be dealing with past events like this. And some of it's pretty intense. There was one in particular that I'm kind of nervous about posting. It's really, really intense. It goes not into detail so much, but it's kind of descriptive emotionally. And I'm nervous about posting it, but at the same time, when the words started flowing, I realized that I was writing some of the best stuff I've ever written. And it would be a shame not to post it, in my opinion, even though it's deeply, deeply personal and not necessarily something that you want to read. And you're not obligated to, obviously. But it would be a shame not to put it out there, I believe. It's too good. It is unlike anything I've ever written before, ever. It came 100% naturally in the span of about an hour to 2 hours. And the more I go back on it, the more it kind of blunts the pain of the original events. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when I do eventually post it, whenever that's going to be. I have to reach a certain comfort level before I'm ready to do that. That's good. But I've been doing a lot of that. My voice just cracked. Been doing a lot of that introspection during this crisis because we've all had a lot of time on our hands. We've all been dealing with our own stress, and it's important to deal with it and not bury it. I'm hoping that this will lead to a number of breakthroughs for me personally, but we'll see how it goes. Taking it one step at a time. Chris Sarr kind of knows what I'm talking about, because Chris Sarr attended the same school as me. So Chris Sarr understands certain traumatic events that I experienced, and he did as well. Catholic school was not a fun place. And I'll give you an example. The teachers there didn't really deal with bullying at all. I can remember there was one kid, Ian Johnson, who got in a fight with another kid. And when the teachers broke it up, they punished the two of them by walking around the schoolyard, hand in hand, holding hands, for all of recess. That was to teach them not getting in fights, I guess. So, it was a pretty fucked up kind of environment. Teachers were pretty fucked up, and so were the kids. So there's a lot of stuff going back to those roots, which happened to coincide with a time when I was really discovering music in a very serious way. My first experience to bands like Kiss, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, Helix, Van Halen, Quiet Riot, Y&T, The Police. I have to have a 10th one now. Black Sabbath. So, Chris Sarr, you don't remember that? Fuck, man, you don't remember much from those days. Maybe you have more trauma that you're dealing with than I do. Fuck, I remember that. I'll never forget it. Because it was so fucked up. Anyway, I hope somebody likes what I've written and what I've posted. Some people may not, because it might be a little bit too bare and too raw. And that's fine too. But I've written it. They're written, and there's more coming because they keep coming back to that time. I don't know why, but 2020 seems to be flashing back 35 years consistently. 35 years all the time. And to be fair, that may have something to do with some of the music that I was listening to before coronavirus hit. Like, I was really getting into loudness, and they peaked around 1985-86 commercially in North America. So I was kind of already on that track, and then the coronavirus hit, and I've just been going down the rabbit hole, like living in 1985, 1986 when I'm writing some of these things. It's quite incredible. Take another sip of my Venizio. I think Mike Kudis is catching up on, I don't know what he's talking about. Of your older parts, he says. Makes you look short. He's talking about the Vader helmet. Makes me look short. And he likes my Axis t-shirt. Does it? I guess it does, Max. I guess it does. And Derek Williamson says he's still stuck back in 84. And, hey, that's cool, man. Some of the best music of my life, personally, was released in 1984. Van Halen. There you go. Chris Sarr, I remember getting kicked out of class and tying all the boots together that we used to line up outside the classrooms. That's funny. That's true. We used to have to take our boots off, leave them outside, and I believe we had to have a pair of indoor shoes. I don't think we were allowed to just walk around in socks. I believe we had indoor shoes that we had to wear. So Chris Sarr tied all the shoelaces up of all the boots when he got kicked out of class. Yeah, the teacher, if you were bad, she might make you stand in a corner. I'm pretty sure I did a corner stand at least once. And Chris Sarr got kicked out of the class. Michael Lefebvre, a certain Bowling for Soup song comes to mind. Oh, you'll have to elaborate on that one. 1985, is that them? That song, 1985? Let me know if I've got it right. Mike Kudis, it us. I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's speaking in half sentences and half words now. I'm supposed to understand what it us means. I'm live, man. I can't follow your train of thought. Chris Sarr, that was Powers' class. He's talking about Vivian Powers, possibly the most nasty teacher that any of us have ever had. Fucking Vivian Powers. Man, it's no surprise that all of this trauma happened under the watch of Vivian Powers. Michael Lefebvre, 1985, yes. So I guessed correctly there. Fucking Vivian Powers, man. Not a nice teacher. Not a nice teacher. Stricter than fucking hell. And weird. She was weird. Hey, for those who missed it, and maybe I'll just show this off real quick before we get into the vinyl for tonight. You can call me Dark Helmet. Yeah, so I bought a Darth Vader mask and helmet. This is just the helmet portion. Mike Kudis, okay, will be defined from now on. Your hair bands are affecting your lifestyle. He might be right.
My wife made a bag for you.
Oh, is that going to fit this?
Probably. It's got a lot of...
Hang on, I've been looking for a way to store this helmet kind of safely and it won't get scratched up. And I think she's found a bag that may fit it. Yeah, I think it will.
I can cut out that...
Yeah, I think it'll almost fit. It's a little small.
It looks like something Mrs. Marley would wear, though.
It does look like something Bob Marley's wife would wear. Anyway, this is just the helmet portion of the mask, and you can see how fucking huge it is. I look literally like Rick Moranis, Dark Helmet right now. Mike Kuda says, show it all. Ludicrous. It is ludicrous speed. Yeah, I'll show this off a little bit later, but why don't we get to some vinyl for now? You guys want to see some vinyl? I promised some vinyl. And I have a whole bunch to show. Whether we get to it all or not is irrelevant. That we have fun is everything. Love me that Venizio. I've been trying to remember where I picked each of these up. That was close call, Jon Snow. What was a close call? I don't know. I think I'm missing some comments here, maybe. Hey, says Scott Carson. I can't remember where I got this. Probably Tom Morwood's record store that he used to own in London. This is the Alice Cooper Muscle of Love original carton. It's a little damaged on one side, but well, it's actually damaged on both sides, but I glued it. These things are really hard to find in good condition, but it's so cool to have a record that comes in a carton. See how thick it is? You have to be really careful storing this. You don't want it to get crushed by other records. And it pops open at the back. You can see it's got the track listing written here in pink ink on the back. It says do not bend. And inside, this is the actual sleeve for Muscle of Love. You don't see that very often in the record itself. This is one of my favorite records because when I acquired it, well, for one thing, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, the packaging to start with is cool. This is one of my favorite records because when I acquired it, Muscle of Love, the Alice Cooper album, was all but impossible to find on CD. My hopes of finding it on CD were nil, basically. And I stumbled across this. Again, I think it came from Tom's store. And I ended up really liking all of the songs. And because I had no CD, this was my go-to way of listening to Muscle of Love. Scott Carson, was that a Hayden Christensen mask? It sure was, buddy. It sure was. Muscle of Love, Alice Cooper. One of my favorite records. Let's keep going. More favorite records. Kind of a newer record. Guns N' Roses Live Era 87-93. This was released in 1999. I bought it probably the year 2000. Or maybe 99. I can't remember exactly whether I bought it the year of or the year after release on vinyl. This has one bonus track that is not available on the domestic CD, which is Coma, which takes up an entire side. That saves you from buying, I believe it's a 3-CD Japanese CD to get Coma. This is a 4-record set. And otherwise has all the same content as the CD, but bigger. Why is it one of my favorite records? Because of the bonus track, of course. What else can I say about this? I think this album gets a bad rap. I don't think it's the greatest live album that Guns N' Roses could have released at this time. But as a live anthology of where Guns had been and where Guns, what Guns had accomplished, I think it's a decent overview. I think that diehard fans need a lot more. They need deep tracks. But for the general audience, this was a good live document of what Guns had achieved at this time. Bonus track. Going way back in time now. Way back in time. Somewhere back in time. One of my very first records. Iron Maiden, Live After Death. what can you say about Iron Maiden Live After Death on vinyl, except it is gorgeous. Fatty Assad, hello, how are you? We're showing off favorite records tonight, Fatty. So I got this in '85 at the Highway Market store in Kitchener. It's one of my one of my first records, and so it was my only version of Iron Maiden's Live After Death for almost 20 years. It was my go-to. I loved it then. I love it now. It is packed with photographs. Where's the booklet? There it is. Not only is each record sleeve fully packed with photographs, but it has this really lovely booklet. Derek Williamson says, best packaged live album ever. Can't disagree. Look at this. This album is, I believe, 100 minutes long in total. 2 50-minute records. And we would just sit there, listen to the records, flipping them, and going through the booklet, looking at all the pictures one by one, reading all the text, page by page, studying all the minute details on the back cover. Derek Williamson says it's the best packaged live album ever. And who the fuck am I to disagree with Derek Williamson? Not going to do it. Okay, here's kind of a pair of records that I pulled out. Everybody likes unreleased Ozzy music, or rare Ozzy music. This one still has never been released on CD. It's the Ozzy Osbourne live EP, sometimes called Mr. Crowley. Michael Lefebvre says that Live After Death is his favorite live album. Good pick, my friend. Finishing off that coffee. Everybody likes a little rare or unreleased Ozzy. This one's special because that be Randy Rhoads. These songs have Randy Rhoads on lead guitar, and You Said It All is unavailable anywhere else. This is the only record where you can hear You Said It All. A lot of my favorite records that we're going to be looking at tonight are records where you can't get on CD. And that's why they're my favorite records, because I've always listened to them on vinyl. Derek Williamson says You Said It All is a great song. He is correct. To go with the Ozzy live EP, which again I believe came from Tom Morwood's store, I got this one from eBay, Ozzy Bark at the Moon. And the reason I bought this one, it has One Up the B-side. I just farted. Did you hear that? I hope you did. I'd hate it to be wasted. One Up the B-side, which was not on the Bark at the Moon LP. It also says Slow Down, exclusive release. I think in some regions Slow Down was not on Bark at the Moon. Correct me if I'm wrong, Facebook. Correct me if I'm wrong. I hope you heard that. Fun thing here is that these records are all in a random order, so they're my favorites for a variety of different reasons. So we're jumping now to 1996. Soundgarden's Down on the Upside vinyl, which is still sealed. I've never played it, so how could it possibly be one of my favorite records if I've never even opened it? When I was working at what I refer to as the record store in the early 90s, I call it that because that's a convenient way to describe where I worked. When I worked at the record store in the early 90s, we didn't carry records, except for a couple. 2, in fact. In 1994, we carried Vitalogy by Pearl Jam, 5 copies. And in 1996, yep, I'm getting, these are the right years, yes, 1996, we carried this one. Those were both very special releases because the vinyl came out the week before the CD came out. If you were a vinyl buyer, you could get Vitalogy by Pearl Jam and Down on the Upside by Soundgarden the week before everybody else. I kept this as a collector's item, sealed, and I don't know, I think that's Trevor's handwriting. $22.99 was the retail price that we were selling it for, and I kept that on there in wax pen. Yeah, so nostalgia, really. I've never played it. I don't even really care for the album that much, to be honest with you. I think it could have had maybe 5 or 6 songs trimmed from it, but this is still one of my favorite records. Speaking of music that you can only get on vinyl and not CD, this is the first EP by Brighton Rock featuring their original lineup with Martin Victor on keyboards, which I believe he left the band before the next album. This is a great little 4-song EP. 3 of the tracks ended up making it onto their first album, Young, Wild, and Free. Those 3 tracks being Young, Wild, and Free, Assault Attack, and Barricade. But the 4th song, The Fool's Waltz, was never released on any albums. So these are exclusive versions of those tracks, and of course one completely unavailable anywhere else. It used to kind of bug me when I would get into a band and find out that they had an album before their first album. But once you get those releases in your collection, it's very, very satisfying. Another one of my favorite records is this test pressing. This came from Isotope Records, which is owned by Jerry McGee, the lead singer of Brighton Rock. But this test pressing is a special one. You've seen this one on my website before. This is a test pressing of Masked by Catherine Ladano. That's her catalog number right there. Test pressing side A, test pressing side B. This gives the artist a chance to spin their record before it goes into production and critique or make any changes that they need to make before they go into a full production run. And I am the lucky owner of one test pressing of Masked by Catherine Ladano. That's why this is one of my favorite records. More music that is not available on CD. Brian May and Eddie Van Halen. That's right. Brian May from Queen and Eddie Van Halen. I have reviewed this on my site. You can go on my site and have a look and read it for yourself. God, it's a beautiful night out there. I have my window open. Much better night than it was a day. How do I describe this? It has 3 tracks on this EP. Starfleet, Let Me Out, and Bluesbreaker. Bluesbreaker being a tribute to Eric Clapton. And yep, Eddie Van Halen. See that? Edward Van Halen. Fantastic album, says Michael Lefebvre. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, by the way. Please correct me if I'm not pronouncing it right. The artwork is fantastic. This was produced as music for a TV series, a Japanese TV series that for children. I guess Brian May's son was a fan of it, so that's how Brian got involved with this. But it is a cool little record. And, you know, I might be wrong when I say it's not on CD. I believe there was a limited run, a semi-official run made of these on CD, but it's extremely hard to find, and you're better off just grabbing a vinyl. At least that way you know it's official. This is released on Capitol Records. Produced by Brian May. And it has some liner notes here too if you wanted to check out the whys and wherefores of Starfleet Project, you could. With the handy dandy liner notes. Whoa, here's another favorite. Oops. Well, can you guess? Can you guess? Based on that? You see the Mercury logo? Come on, what band is this? I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put that one down until you can guess what band it is. We'll skip ahead. This was extremely difficult to get on CD for many, many, many years. Bon Jovi, Derek got it. Okay, so we'll go back to the Bon Jovi. And Michael Lefebvre is right. Alan Gratzer from REO Speedwagon on drums. That's correct. He was there in the credits on the back. Scott Carson also got Jovi. Okay, fine. Fine. You're smart guys. You're smart guys. The very first Kim Mitchell EP. I am going to say, great, cool album, says Tyler Weber. I don't know what he's talking about. He could be talking about Kim. The first Kim Mitchell EP. I say, this is the greatest EP ever released by anybody. These 5 tracks are perfect in every way. This EP is it's magnificent. It is the greatest thing Kim Mitchell's ever put his name on. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say. So they guessed that this was Bon Jovi. They are correct. It is the Living on a Prayer EP, which is, amazingly enough, a double vinyl gatefold featuring exclusive tracks, Borderline. Pardon me. I believe Scott Carson and I were discussing Borderline, or was it Jon Snow? One of you guys. We were discussing Borderline recently. What an amazing track. In and Out of Love on side 2 with, side 3. And on side 4, 3 exclusive live tracks, Runaway, Breakout, and Shot Through the Heart live. This is a fucking great double EP. I don't believe, says John T. Snow. Send it to me so I can hear it. No. Jumping around from decade to decade a bit. This is a very special record. This is the original vinyl printing from 94? 93 of Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? Completely different album cover. Front and back. Completely different bonus tracks than the deluxe CD version. So I have both. This one came with a bonus disc. I'm just trying to pull it out of the sleeve here. There we go. Little bonus disc here of 8 rare Lenny Kravitz tracks. Some of which are not on that deluxe edition of Are You Gonna Go My Way? Yeah. This is really a very cool release. I love any time a vinyl release has bonus tracks that you can't get on the album. And this has them on a CD that comes with the vinyl. That's fucking cool. Gatefold. And also, this vinyl is clear. I had this on vinyl long before I actually got a CD copy of the album. So once again, this was my only copy of Are You Gonna Go My Way for many years. And I still like Are You Gonna Go My Way. I think it's a great album, to be honest with you. There we go. Snug as a bug in a rug. Once again, I am partial to vinyl in my collection that I had to play because the thing wasn't available on CD. And here's one, Dio's Intermission. To find one on CD back then was talking 30, 40, 50 bucks. I got a copy on vinyl for like, what, 8? Something like that. Back when vinyl was reasonably priced. I believe I picked this up in London or Hamilton. The Dio Intermission Live EP featuring King of Rock and Roll, Rainbow in the Dark, Sacred Heart, Rock and Roll Children, We Rock, and the new studio track Time to Burn, which is a fucking great song. So stuff like this that you could not get on CD was always frequently played in vinyl. You can get it on CD now. I believe it's on the bonus CD that comes with Sacred Heart. Am I right about that? The bonus CD that comes with Sacred Heart has this now? But back then you couldn't get it. So vinyl. And I loved it. I loved it then and I love it now. I'm going to save that one. I had one put aside here. I'm going to save it for the last one. Because it's really special to me. Here's a record for you. This is a reissue, unfortunately. It's not the original. Did Claude Schnell ever comb that mop of his as Derek Williamson? He's got a point. Dio's keyboard player, Claude Schnell, had lion hair. It was long and straggly. It never looked good. Ever. Ever. A comb. He could have run a comb through it. It would have done a world of good. Maybe he would have never been let go from Dio if he had good hair. This is the double vinyl reissue. It's on the Sacred Heart Deluxe Corrects, Scott Carson, regarding Dio's Intermission. This is a very nice record, and the reason I bought it is because the second record, side 4, has a double groove, meaning you will get 2 different endings to the album depending on where on the record you drop your needle. So there's side 3, this is side 4. And depending where on the record you drop the needle, you will get a completely different ending. You'll either get a song, a bonus track, what is it called? Made Again, the Spiral Remake or something like that. Or you will get 20 minutes of water sounds. So like either a happy ending or a sad ending for the story, the Brave concept album. And that's a feature you cannot duplicate on a CD. You cannot put a double groove on a CD like that where it randomly picks the ending to the album based on where you dropped the needle. Sure, you could have a thing where you pick whether you're going to play track 1 or track 2, but it is not the same. You can't duplicate that on a CD. And that's why that's one of my favorite records. Here's a rare one for you. The Helix Live at the Marquee EP. This is rare because it's a promo-only EP, meaning it was never made for sale. There will be a punch somewhere there in the cover. There it is, right bottom corner. There it is, the punch, indicating it's a promo. It's going right through bassist Daryl Gray, but he survived the punch. That's how you know it's a promo. This is 6 live tracks, only 3 of which have ever been released on CD. The other 3 are still unreleased on CD today. This is not cheap. I believe I set a spending limit of $50 to acquire it. And because of a friend of ours, Boppin, some of you know Boppin, because of him, I ended up getting this for under $50. He found it on Discogs and let me know because he knew I was looking for one. Yeah, very hard to find this, and I'm very, very happy to have this in my collection. Ha ha! Oh yeah. Kiss. This is a West German import of Kiss Killers. Kiss Killers, yeah, I said it, Kiss. Look at those Elder era costumes and hair. This is an album, part greatest hits, part new songs that they released in between the Elder and Creatures of the Night in various parts of the world, including West Germany. And the 4 new songs: I'm a Legend Tonight, Down on Your Knees, Nowhere to Run, and Partner in Crime were all sung by Paul Stanley. And I believe that they're actually high-quality songs. Some people, hey, Len, you're just in time for some Kiss. I believe that the 4 new songs on this would have been the basis for a really good studio album. A hard rocker, not as heavy as Creatures of the Night. And John D. Snow, now you're talking, love the Kiz logo. I think that they would have had the basis to a good studio album, a good rock and roll studio album that would have been a continuation of where they were headed with Love Gun and Alive 2. Hey, Harrison Kopp, how you doing, buddy? We had some Ozzy earlier that you missed. I got to burp again, but I'm going to try to hold it in. One of my favorite records. This record was bought in Calgary, Alberta by Bob Shipper and was later given to me when he decided to kind of stop collecting records. And I have a lot more of his stuff in this pile here. We might not get to them, but we'll see. Scott Carson hates the Kiz logo. They had to use that logo in West Germany because their actual KISS logo looks so much like a Nazi SS. And Len LaBelle says, nowhere to run. Kicks? And Scott Carson agrees with me. He loves the new songs on Kiss Killers. Jumping ahead, this one's still sealed. I said it's one of my favorite records even though I haven't listened to it yet because I have saved this for a rainy day. This is a reissue of Soundgarden's Badmotorfinger. This is a 180-gram audiophile vinyl, as you can see, with a hologram cover. And honestly, it's one of my favorite records because I like the way it looks. I haven't played it yet. I know I'm going to like the album because I like this album. This has a collectible etched image on side 4, just in case you were wondering why it's only 3 sides. That's why. And of course it comes with a download that expired on December 31st, 2018. That's what I get for waiting. But I'm looking forward to hearing the audiophile vinyl, the 180 gram. One day, I'll get around to it. I'm in no rush. Where are we going? Where are we gonna go? What are we gonna do? Nothing. Nothing at all. Ah, yeah. Triumph. Stages. Double live. A very, very underrated double live album. Derek Stephen Williamson, you got my back on this? Len LaBelle, you got my back on this? This is a great double live album. Chock full of great rock and awesome solos. Well, maybe not the drum solo so much, but Rick Emmett's guitar solo is awesome. Okay, hang on, we got some comments here. Maybe it's rarer over there, but you got loads of the German versions of the UK, and that always bugged me. Wanted to have the real logo, not a stupid censored one. Yeah, he's right. That album was not easy to find over here at all. John T. Snow as a completist with these guys. Okay, so they're arguing about the logo back and forth. Scott hates the logo. John collects the West German logos. Derek Williamson got my back on this. Len LaBelle got my back on this. And Harrison Kopp says to Scott, he's a bit closer to Germany than LeBrain. He is correct. That is 100% geographically correct. One reason that I love Stages is that it has, yes, tracks that are not on the CD. And I don't believe that has yet been rectified. I believe the tracks on this album have still never been issued on CD. And I'm trying to remember exactly which tracks they were. Doesn't matter right now. We can look at my review later. Show the Hagar picture in the gatefold, says Derek Stephen Williamson. I have to find it. I don't see it, buddy. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. There it is. I guess that's Hagar there. Hagar's got his little head mic there. One of the greatest double lives. Oh, here's one. Now, this isn't the exact copy that kicked everything off, but this is a reasonable facsimile. The original copy that kicked everything off was a cassette. But it all started with Masters of Metal Volume 2. Bob Shipper came over one Christmas, with a new tape of his. Had something on it called Iron Maiden, Helix, Judas Priest, Anvil, Accept, Urgent, Quiet Riot, Rush, Lee Aaron, Coney Hatch, Fist, and Santers. This is the album that got me hooked on heavy metal. So obviously I had to get a vinyl copy. I had to. Even though I have basically everything on this album, on albums, I have to have the record that started everything. The one that got me hooked on rock and roll. Masters of Metal 2. Scott Carson, I've got women in uniform in the 10 years box. Yep, me too. Santers says Derek. Santers says Derek Stephen Williamson. Len LaBelle. Oh my God, I haven't seen that in decades. Yeah, man. Here's another one you might never not have seen in decades, Len LaBelle. Hearing Aid. Basically, this was heavy metal's answer to USA for Africa. All of these guys that you see here gathered together to record a song called Stars, which is an amazing track. It's basically a Dio song with all of these guys singing and playing on it. Guitar solos, drummers, bassists. Oh my God, Yngwie, Spinal Tap. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other tracks on here to fill out the rest of the record, including an exclusive live version of Heaven's on Fire by Kiss. That is the live, Animalized live version. Heaven's on Fire live. And I believe there's a Rush song on here that Distant Early Warning live. Might be Rare. I can't remember. I'm sure it's Rare. Yes. Everybody's saying cool. Len LaBelle saying arg because he doesn't have it. It's the final countdown. Now, this is an album I own on CD. I have owned it on CD for years and years and years and years, but this is one of my favorite vinyls because the CD does not do justice to this cover art. It really doesn't. The colors pop way more. The logo is so much more vibrant. You can actually see more detail in the faces. None of this comes across on CD. Everything's just too small. This album cover was not designed for CD. When it came out on cassette, I didn't know who any of the guys from Europe looked like because you cannot tell. You can kind of tell that's the singer because he's front and center and he's got the big hair. I could make out that this was John Norum because I recognized his guitar strap. But you couldn't really make out any of the details of their faces. On vinyl, everything's vibrant and looks amazing. It sounds good. Dare say it sounds better than the remastered CD. The Final Countdown, one of my favorite records. Yeah, Scott, it's a stinky cover. Yeah. Stop being a spoiled sport, Scott Carson. Okay, I'm going to do a whole bunch here now. These are all records that I bought off Bob Shipper or George Balaz, two of the neighbor kids. Basically, my entire childhood Iron Maiden singles collection came from those two guys. Whoa, don't want to have an accident here. This one's my favorite. The B-side, That Girl, sung by Adrian Smith. Such an amazing song. We talked about that during my Rare Box Sets live stream, because that song, That Girl, came up in the Eddie's Archive box set. Scott Carson says, Final Countdown was just before they replaced Joey Tempest with The Ringer, and he's right. It is. Yes, the fake Joey Tempest conspiracy. 100% right. Bob Shipper was such a good guy, and he would always be going down to Sam the Record Man and spending his hard-earned money on Iron Maiden singles. He loved the artwork. He loved collecting it. He loved trying to draw the different covers. I did too. But then he got out of rock. He got serious. He decided he was growing up. He got out of rock, and I bought all of his records, basically. There were a few that he fucking sold to somebody else, and I'm really pissed off. One of them was like an Iron Maiden radio die cut. It was, I don't know what it was, but it was not something I've ever seen again. Iron Maiden's logo still looks good in reverse, says Scott Carson. It was Reach Out that Adrian sung. Yes, Harrison, yes, thank you for correcting me. It was Reach Out that Adrian sung. Thank you. It is 7 o'clock. I'm going to show you one more record, and then we'll start to wrap things up. This last record is special to me because, like Masters of Metal, it is the beginning of something. And it's my very first copy of Kiss Alive. And my first Kiss album. This is the copy that I traded a whole bunch of stuff to George Balaz. No. Sorry. I traded Superman, the Atari game, to Ian Johnson to get this. And that was in 1985. The school year that I've been obsessing over these last few months. And so this record means a lot to me. It was my introduction to Kiss. I used to read the liner notes here. I mean, they're so goofy. But I used to read them while I listened. Hey, Stone Soliani. So, this really was the beginning of a lot of different things for me, this record. It set me off on my Kiss collection. It began that really horrid final year at the fucking Catholic school that you're going to be reading a lot about. This record educated me on what Kiss sounded like, what Kiss songs, what the songs were, who sang them, who wrote them. It all came from this record that I still have to this day. I got this record 35 years ago. It's incredible. I have another copy of Kiss Alive. It's a reissue. That's the copy that I will play from now on. I hesitate to... I don't know what this one sounds like anymore. It's been a long time since I've played it, but it got a lot of play when I was a kid on a turntable that wasn't very good, and it definitely would have affected this record. So I'm sure my reissue copy, though it's not as sentimentally important to me, sounds better. This was my only copy of this artwork when I was a kid, because I only had this record, so this was my only way of seeing the album covers. Yeah, this is special. This is a very special record. We can do more of this next week, because I have not gone through the entire pile of records. I just didn't want to be live streaming all night. It's a beautiful night, and I want to go outside for a walk. So thank you for joining me. Oh, what does it say in the Wii box under the Alive title, says Scott? It says, special price, 2 records, includes 8-page booklet. I've got lots of records still to go through, so we can do this again next week. But before we go, I will show you one more time the Vader Helmet. It's in 3 pieces. This is the front mask. This attaches to the mask to hold it on. So I'll just snap it on one side while I attempt to put this on my head. I'll take off my glasses this time. It's easier without. So you just snap that shut on the other side. And then the helmet just magnetizes on. You just have to get it in the right position. There we go. The helmet is firm. It's on, and Scott Carson You will give me your Metallica vinyl. Or else you will pay the price. You don't know the power of the dark side. It's hot in here, I will say that. It steams up pretty quickly. It's not the most comfortable helmet, but it's very roomy. I have room to, you can see how much room. It's difficult to move my head from side to side. That's about as much as I can manage, which is probably about as much as David Prowse could manage in the original costume. It takes 2 AAA batteries, and this is all it can do. It doesn't change my voice. But I am going to wear this out in public. In fact, if I can talk Jen into going for a walk, I'll be wearing it outside in just a few minutes. So this has been LeBrain. Thank you for joining me for this Saturday live stream. As usual, if you missed any... See, it's hard to breathe. I need a drink. Oh, that's good. It's hard to breathe in this thing. So anyway, if you missed any of this live stream, I will be posting it to my website sometime the following day. And that's about all I have to say tonight. We'll do it again next week. May the force be with you. And now I'm going to go for a walk wearing this thing. Talk to you later. Bye.